Welcome to your Daily Revolution podcast. Today's topic, 6 ways to powerfully raise your teenager. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
My name is Setema, Gali, the founder and creator of the Prosperity Revolution, a global movement that helps you to get out of scarcity and into prosperity every single day. A movement where people have value, things do not, where money is a result of helping people, where you're rewarded for creating value for others, and where prosperity is not the result of luck, but a predictable steps and formulas, and where happiness is the ultimate goal.
Welcome, my friends. Great to be with you today. I appreciate you listening in, and wherever you're at listening to this, if you're on a treadmill, on a Stairmaster, on a trail, driving to work, or just doing odd chores around the house on honeydews, this one's going to hit home, especially if you have a teenager or teenagers. And while I'm talking about teenagers, this same thing can apply to your spouse, can apply to your employees, can apply to partners, business partners, loved ones. And I ask you, especially more than any time that I've done a podcast, really listen with your heart, because this subject is near and dear to mine. I've got a teenager. I've got a 14-year-old. I have an 11-year-old. I have an 8-year-old. And so I've got 2 up and coming, and my oldest is kind of the test run for us, right? Where I get to figure things out. So let's talk about this, right? 6 ways I'm going to ask you to take some notes, and then we're just going to have a real honest discussion here about what's working for me, what I've seen not work. But there's 6 things that you can really do and there's a lot more, but I'm going to give you 6 things in the model here. So number 1, right? Before we even jump into this, understand, you've got to be clear about what you really want. Most people aren't clear about what they want with their teenager. Most people just kind of, they force a lot of things on their children. They try to be this hardcore parent without really thinking, without really being conscious. And as I go through the 6 things, I'm going to ask you to just really take some time and say, hey, what do I want with my teenager? What do I really want with my teenager? So that's really the frame. What is the outcome that I want with my teenager? What is the desire of my heart that I want for my teenager? How do I want to feel around my teenager? What do I want my relationship to look like with my teenager? Look, you've got to ask these questions, and you've got to be honest and real about it. If you don't know and you can't specifically spell that out, then that's the starting spot, right? That is the starting spot, because I can tell you right now, clarity is power. That is principle number 4 in the 13 principles, right? Clarity is power. And so when I say clear, let me give you an example. What I want with my sons, I want my sons to be their very best. I want my sons to be able to overcome adversity and feel really confident in themselves. High self-esteem, high work ethic. I want them to have trust with me, where they feel like they could tell me anything and they could do anything without me coming so hard down on them, right? And judging them and guilting them and shaming them. I want that type of relationship where there's high trust. They feel safe. And again, anything. So this is why in our home, there's no taboo language, right? We talk about everything in our home. And again, they're still getting there. So let me share with you these 6 things to help you. But the frame is, you got to be clear. If you're not clear, that's the starting point, right? If you're not clear yet, then go get clear and ask the questions and write down, what would the ideal relationship look like with my son or my daughter, or if you have multiple teenagers, my teenagers. And I'd even apply this to your younger kids, but today I'm talking teenagers. So let's jump in, right? 6 things. Once you have clarity, once you are clear, then the first thing is what I call getting on their side of the wall. So number 1, you got to get on their side of the wall. Let me give you some context. So between you and between your children, there stands a wall. And that wall is what we call the wall of perspective, or the wall of context. You see, on your side of the wall, you have all these truths as a parent. Your experiences have shaped what you believe to be true and what your opinions and assumptions and everything that how you believe the world operates, that's on your side of the wall. On your teenager's side of the wall is basically what they've been trained, taught, and educated from you, as well as from experiences and traumatic experiences, even though it may not be traumatic when you're doing it to them. Again, every child's going to judge this thing. And so they have what we call a self-view and a worldview, right? Their perspective, their truths. And on your side of the wall is your truths. Now, again, stay with me on this. See, most parents think, oh, no, this is just how it is, but it's not. The way you were trained, taught, and educated and raised has created a worldview and a self-view for you on your side of the wall. And depending on what that's like with you and your child, you got to understand from where you stand on the side of the wall of perspective, right? That wall could be extremely high between you and your child, or it could be extremely low. I have 3 sons. I feel like with my teenager, the wall is higher now, right? He's 14. And again, he's developed some beliefs, some, quote, truths. When I say quote, because there might be some things that he believes to be true, but I know it's not true. You know it's not true, but it doesn't matter if we know it's not true. To him, if it's true, it's true. So he lives his world. Well, when I say, so number one, right, let's just back up here. The frame before you going in is clarity. And then number 1 is get on their side of the wall. Get on their side of the wall. Now, this is important because if you're on your side of the wall of perspective and your child is on their side of the wall, there is no communication happening. You think you're communicating. You think that you're getting them. All you're doing is speaking from where you are on your side. And while you talk to them and their side, they can't hear you because there's no relating. There's no understanding. They don't even, like, you could be 2 feet away from them, but the wall is so high and is so thick that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, it will never land for them. They will never feel understood. They will never feel like you love them. So how do you get on their side of the wall? Okay, that's the first thing. How do you get on their side? Well, that brings us to number 2. So number 2 is first and foremost what I call perspective. And again, there's going to be some repetition here. So number 1, get on their side of the wall. Number 2, how? Well, the first one is perspective. You've got to understand there is a very different perspective. Even though you've raised this child, even though you've taught them and trained them, and whether you work out with them and have scripture study or there's just lessons you're teaching them, they have a perspective, okay? Number 2 is something that we call ask, right? Ask, right? Just that's principle number 6, ask. Which means the way you get on their side of the wall is you ask powerful questions. Now, you're asking powerful questions to find out what's going on over there where you are not. Now, let me say this again. You're not asking questions to lead the witness. You're not asking questions to guilt and shame them. You are asking powerful questions with humility, with a soft heart. And look, you've got to step back when you ask these questions and really ask yourself, am I doing this to lead my son to give me the answer that I want, manipulate them? Or am I really asking to discover and find out and probe what's really going, ready, listen, on over there where you are not? You see, anytime we talk to our kids, most parents are talking from where the parent stands as if that is the only truth. When I ask questions to my sons, and again, I'm still doing this with myself. When I ask questions to my sons, it's like I ask a question and then I'll say, wait, hold on, let me ask a different question. Because I know sometimes those questions can be almost manipulative, like making them feel dumb. That's not what I want to do.
What I'm trying to do is to find out what they're feeling, what they're going through, what they're experiencing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, asking a teenager questions like, well, what's going on? You think they're trained and equipped to answer and communicate? Nope. You think you can just say, well, tell me what's happening. Well, what are you feeling? They're still not gonna tell you. This is why, okay? This is why you've got to ask questions that are like what I call options. Are you upset about this or about this? Is it this that happened or was it this? And then, right, step number 4, so let's review, repetition here, right? Number 1, get on their side of the wall. Number 2, remember perspective. They've got their own. Number 3, the way you scale and climb the wall, get over there, is to ask powerful questions. Number 4, listen. Now, people say, well, yeah, okay, listen. No, see, you can't listen from where you are. You get that? As a parent with your teenager, you're not trying to listen from where you are, which is my truth and the truth, and this is how it is in our home, and this is just how it is. Listen here, Sonny, you don't understand when I was your age. That stuff just makes the wall go higher. You're listening to learn, right? You're listening to learn. You're listening to understand. It's like, man, what? Let me learn something about my son or my daughter right now. Let me learn something about their personality. Let me learn something about what they're really experiencing, what I can't see that they're not saying. So I've really got to listen with my eyes, listen with my ears, listen with my heart, listen with the intentions of my entire way of being. And that's number 4, right? Again, all of this is designed to get on the other side. Now, number 5 is you've got to, as you scale the wall of perspective, as you get over on their side, whether they're 13 or 17, again, this takes a lot of humility. Number 5 is what I call love. Love. And some of you might be like, well, duh, but as parents, we forget. So where it's like the ego-driven parent or the non-effective, non-powerful parent is driven by, I want to be right. My way or the highway. Why don't you listen to me? And the parent who's driven by love knows that no matter what they say, no matter what they do, my whole driving force, my whole fuel for all of this is love. A deep concern, a deep and genuine caring for my son or my daughter as a human being. Now, this again requires humility. This requires clarity on what you really want. Now, listen, okay, let's just go back, right? Number 1, got to get on their side of the wall. Number 2, there's this thing called perspective. They've got their truths and how they're already shaping how they believe the world operates. Number 3, you ask the powerful questions, right? You're asking. Number 4, you're listening to learn and to understand, not to try to coach. You're just trying to understand, which means you could ask and listen, and they could say something, and you might even rephrase. So just help me understand, son. Is this right? Is that right? What I'm saying, do I get that? And if they say yes, you might even say, are you sure? Is there anything else? And then shut up. More listening, less talking. Ask powerful questions, listen to learn and understand, and shut up. Like really get on that side of the wall. And number 5 is love, right? Deep, deep concern. We have a phrase in my home that says, Daddy loves you, and they'll always say, no matter what. At the end of every day, I'm like, Daddy loves you, no matter what. And I can hear my boys yell it. And I love when they're dead asleep. And I'm like, Daddy loves you. And it's like even subconsciously, no matter what. But I have to remind them that. I have to remind them through my words and my behaviors and how I respond. Okay? And then number 6 is no judgment.
Listen, you got to put this together, parents. You can stay with me. Imagine you got a teenager. They do something that goes against what you said. And if you ask them and then they respond and then you just drop a hammer on their face, right? You grab Thor's hair, you're like, I told you don't ever do this again. What is wrong? What are you thinking? You do that stuff, you break all trust. You drive the wall higher. And what you're in essence telling them is, you can tell me the truth, but if you tell me the truth, I'm gonna just judge the hell out of you. It's not what we wanna do.
Let's go! This is your daily revolution. Live in prosperity, we show you how to do it. There's no luck about it, we got the strategic blueprint. This is your daily revolution. You already know. And if you don't, then check my resume. Turning pressure into possibilities every day. We all can win and live our unique purpose. We change our mindsets and put the work in. This is your daily revolution. Daily revolution. Revolution. Your daily revolution podcast.